Unfortunately, we can't celebrate a ton here on Victory Tuesday morning because there is more details emerging on the Tyreek Hill injury front. Ian Rapoport had it this morning, saying that alongside the dislocated knee Tyreek suffered on Monday Night Football, he also has multiple torn ligaments in that same knee, including the ACL, which effectively ends his season this year, but also is going to put his career and next year, 2026, in jeopardy. This is Dolphins Today. I am Nick Roloff. But if we're going to be quite frank, when you are scaling the best possible injury news for Tyreek Hill to the worst, that sliding scale is going to be at the worst. It was a gruesome, it was a disgusting looking injury. And the common person would likely project and forecast, yeah, it was probably going to have multiple torn ligaments. But we tried to hold out hope in belief that it was only going to be a dislocated knee and he was going to be able to return sooner rather than later. But the official news that he has multiple torn ligaments, including an ACL, puts him on a long recovery track, and there is no guarantee that he will even play in 2026. I think there is no chance he would even be ready to play in September of 2026, but you want to talk about this full recovery and then rehab and then being able and comfortable to be back on a football field again. I really don't know if he'll even play in the 26th NFL season, but time will only tell. Hit that sub button because we have you covered on every single day surrounding the Miami Dolphins. We're 75 subscribers away from 76K. Let's get there on today's show. Let's get a positive roll in here and let's make history here at the channel. I know this is all doom and gloom, and it sucks that we're making a sad video on Tuesday morning rather than a happy Victory Tuesday video, but I believe this is the last we have seen Tyreek Hill in a Miami Dolphins uniform. I said that instantly on our Dolphins-Jets watch party. If you missed it, that's why you got to be subscribed. And it just has only been reaffirmed in the last 12 hours as more injury news on Tyreek Hill has come to the forefront. Well, first of all, I wanted to show this because Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald spoke to David Chao, a former Los Angeles Chargers doctor on their team, and he said that he hopes it's not career-ending. A severe knee dislocation is considered a true orthopedic emergency. This type of injury can damage the artery and stretch the nerve. Hopefully that is not the case here. That risk is why he was immediately taken to the hospital. Horrible end to the season. I will mention, not to scare people, it does look good on that front. I don't know when he will return. I don't know if he will ever play for the Dolphins. I don't know if he will play in 2026. But at least when it comes to career ending, it doesn't seem at this point it is at that part yet. And I think the doctors did a tremendous job of immediately getting an air cast on that knee for Tyreek Hill, getting him to the hospital to where he spent the night and is having surgery already to reconstruct and repair the knee to the best of their ability in the immediate moment. So it's good there that Tyreek Hill hopefully is not done for his career, but we have just seen so many injuries this gruesome impact careers. Alex Smith, Joe Theismann, like the list goes on and on with football players as well as in the NBA. Kevin Ware. Now, some of those players did return to their respective sports, but they did not look the same, and that would be the concern here for Tyreek Hill. But there's another reason why that was probably the last game we ever saw Tyreek Hill play for the Miami Dolphins. And if you've been subscribed to the channel or are aware of the contract situation, we have talked about it a ton over the last year. 2026 is the final year of Tyreek Hill's contract that he currently is playing on. It has a $52.8 million cap hit, and the Dolphins don't have a lot of cap space next season. And as a team that looks like it's likely going to be rebuilding or have a massive roster overhaul, they will need a ton of cap space. Will you create $36.3 million in savings if you cut him after the season prior to June 1st? You save just $2.8 million more if you wait till after June 1st. The point is, Miami, and this is a cruel part of the sport, unless Tyreek Hill takes a massive contract restructure to stay in Miami, and I'm talking massive, I don't think he will be here next season because that $36.3 million in savings is just too large for the Dolphins to pass up. And Ian Rapoport even kind of mentioned that as well. Like, none of his salary is guaranteed right now, but most of it becomes guaranteed if he's on the roster in March and gets a couple other roster bonuses. Like, it is tough to say this, but this is why we cover the team. And we don't want to talk about this type of stuff, especially after an injury. But the Dolphins fans need to know this was a sad way for it to end because he has given Miami a lot of fun moments over the last 3 seasons with his play on the field. There's been a lot of headaches off of the field, no doubt about that. But it is brutal to see his tenure in Miami end on such a low note with such a catastrophic injury. It sucks. He was always probably going to be traded at the deadline or cut after the season. This injury certainly doesn't help the chances of that happening. He certainly won't be traded, but cut, yeah, not ideal there. But I do want to send the love for Tyreek Hill. Spam his jersey number 10, down in the comments section. He's going surgery right now, and hopefully he comes out better after the fact. So help him out. Spam those 10s down in the comments. We're going to transition this video from the news on Tyreek Hill to what's next for the Miami Dolphins, because this wide receiver room coming into the year was argued to be the deepest and strongest part of this roster. I said coming into the year it was the edge department. That certainly has not been the case. That group has been very disappointing this year, but the wide receiver group was my number 2 spot. I mean, this is a deep lineup, and yeah, we'll officially move Tyreek Hill off of this graphic going forward, but I wanted to showcase where it stood prior to the injury. You now have 5 healthy wide receivers on the roster. It will be headlined by Jalen Waddle, but you have Malik Washington, Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, D. Eskridge, and Taj Washington. Well, the next men up for the Dolphins are clearly going to be Malik Washington and Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. Malik Washington was the 3rd most played wide receiver, kind of that gadget guy that plays in the slot. They work him a ton in misdirection plays, on end arounds, on screens. Well, you will see him utilized a lot more going forward. But you will also see NWI, who really has not played and made an impact to this point in the season. Signed a 2-year, $7 million contract in free agency. One of the best blocking wide receivers in football. He had a strong 2024 season for the Titans, and we'll have to see that version of Westbrook-Ikhine again with Tyreek Hill out for the remainder of the season. You will also see second-year wide receiver out of USC, Taj Washington, a lot more. He made the 53-man roster after being on the outside looking in to start training camp, but has been in healthy and active every single week of the year to this point. D. Eskridge also might see some more playing time as well. More coming up here in a second, but this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every single day. Well, the right decisions on Prize Picks can get you paid, where it's good to be right. It's so simple to play. You just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. And Justin knew the Prize Picks app is the only app that offers stacks, meaning that you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. Want to pick more on Devon Achane rushing yards, receiving yards, and touchdowns? Well, you can pick all of them in the same lineup only on Prize Picks. The playoffs begin in baseball today, and I got a little entry here. I'm going more than Garrett Crochet pitcher strikeouts, more than Yoshida total bases, and more than Max Fried walks allowed. Half a walk feels like that's going to happen, and that pivotal Red Sox-Yankees wild card series. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Links to the description and comments of today's video. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. There are a lot of players on this Dolphins roster that will be impacted by the Tyreek Hill injury. None more than the quarterback for this football team, Tua Tagovailoa. Obviously, you will see a lot of moving parts offensively. Some players get a larger role, like a Malik Washington, like a Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. But Tua is a player that targeted Tyreek Hill on a frequent basis. And before the injury, that game for Tyreek was one of the most impactful that he's had in a long time. He finished the game with 6 catches, 67 yards, but 3 of those receptions happened on 3rd and long. In the first half, he had 2 big catches on 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. And then the play that he ultimately got hurt on was a 3rd and 8 out route where Tua puts it on the money. Tyreek Hill makes a great toe drag catch, and then obviously the injury, but that sustained a drive right after Miami turned the Jets over in good field position, and it gave the Dolphins an opportunity to go up 2 touchdowns real quickly, go up 17-3. So Tyreek Hill was super impactful, and Tua's going to have to find a new target and a go-to guy in 3rd down situations as well as money situations. Well, Tyreek has been a huge target for Tua, and you see Tua's stats here without Tyreek Hill in his career as a starter, where he has played about 24 games. The numbers are still fine, but they're certainly not elite. 2-to-1 touchdown interception ratio isn't even qualified for, a 90 QB rating, and he doesn't even average 200 yards per game in the games without Tyreek Hill. So Tua is certainly going to have to play the best football of his career to mitigate the loss of Tyreek Hill. And if we're going to be quite frank, Tua has not been playing that caliber of football through 4 games. I thought he was very good against the Jets, but the Jets defense is also very, very bad. And we have a couple easier games ahead of us, so maybe he will be able to mitigate the loss. But the run game for Miami will need to step up and really lead this Dolphins offense. You saw them lean on the run game yesterday. We talk about that 25 designed run threshold in play calls. Well, Miami crossed that threshold. They ran for over 100 yards, almost 5 yards per carry, and really leaned on that in the second half to help ice this game away and create a more balanced offense. So that's something that you will expect to see in the days and weeks coming forward, and you hope that Tyreek Hill is going to recover and Devon Achane and Ollie Gordon can pick up the slack. But let me know, who is going to be impacted the most by the Tyreek Hill injury? Is it Tua? Is it the run game? Is it one of those depth wide receivers like Nick Westbrook-Keeney or Malik Washington? Let me know your guy. Well, I don't think it's going to be Jalen Waddle, because Waddle has been an effective wide receiver in his career without Tyreek Hill. You go back to Jalen Waddle's rookie season, plus a game in 2023 that Tyreek missed, and you go across his entire career, Waddle has played 17 games without Hill as his running mate. Well, he has 112 receptions for 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns in those games. Well, obviously, most of that was in his rookie season, 2021, before the Tyreek Hill trade took place that following offseason. The point I'm trying to make here is Jalen Waddle is not a top 25 wide receiver in football because he is able to work alongside Tyreek Hill. No, Waddle would still be doing what he does without Tyreek, and I will argue that Waddle's production will certainly go up. Will the Dolphins' offense be as good and efficient? Probably not, but Waddle's individual efficiency and production will certainly take a bump up with Tyreek Hill being gone. And I think you will also see an expanded role for tight end Darren Waller, who shut up a lot of people who were doubting him, yours truly included, on Monday night, because he played very well in his limited role. He had 3 receptions, all in crucial situations, for 27 yards and 2 touchdowns. He had a first down reception, 14 yards on the Dolphins' first drive of the game on a 3rd and 5. He had a really great leaping touchdown grab with 2 defenders surrounding him on 4th and goal in the second quarter, and then had his 3rd catch, which was another touchdown on an easy play action rollout, Waller crossing the formation. The point I'm trying to make, Waller looked agile, he looked good for his size, and he looked not really rusty. I expect a lot of rust considering he didn't play since 2023. He was retired last season. Didn't look like that was the case. So I expect to see Darren Waller get an increased snap percentage as the weeks go on without Tyreek Hill and be a target that Tua Tagovailoa really looks for on 3rd down and in the red zone. You already saw the comfortability Tua had with Waller yesterday in some of those money situations. You only expect that to grow with more chemistry formed and with more snaps for Waller. All right, final conclusion on today's show. I don't deem it likely because I do like Miami's depth at wide receiver, and I'll be excited to see Nick Westbrookini, Malik Washington, Taj Washington, D. Eskridge get a expanded opportunity because those four were really solid in joint practices and really solid in the preseason for the Fins. But it would not shock me if Chris Greer and Miami made a marginal trade for a wide receiver. I mean, we'll see. Trade deadline's November 4th. Miami's got 5 games ahead of that deadline. If they go 3-2, they go 4-1 in the next 5 games in this month of October, which isn't the craziest thing to forecast or project because they play the Panthers, Browns, Falcons, Chargers, and Ravens. 5 teams that have serious injury issues or are underperforming. Like, if Miami plays a good month of football in October, which they've gotten better every single week, I could see Miami potentially getting slightly aggressive, sending a day 3 pick for a veteran wide receiver if they feel they need another punch at that room. But I don't expect it, and I don't project it because I do like what Miami has at wide receiver right now. All right, that'll do it for today's show. Hit that sub button for daily Dolphins coverage. We'll be live on the channel later today. Subscribe and join us for that. And let's get to 76K subscribers. We're only 75 away.